Hello and welcome to our webinar. Today's topic is building Main and Enterprise CUI for company standards. Specifically, what I had in mind for this one is clients came to me before and they started talking to me about potentially getting some different workspaces and locking them down. So that's kind of what kind of made this come up to my mind to do. So company wants, say company A wants to have some workspaces. They want to have one for transportation, maybe one for site, landscaping, things like that. And they want those to be read-only. And that's kind of what brought this about. So my name is Jeff Haney. And oops, let's go back. I'm a senior technical specialist here at ATG. There's my email address, jhaney@atgusa.com. If you would like to contact me, be more than glad to talk to you about anything. So today's agenda: why use a CUI? What is a CUI file? Creating a main CUI, creating an enterprise CUI, and a conclusion. And I have some poll questions we'll get to at the end, and then some upcoming ATG events and how to connect to ATG social media. So we'll just kind of go through a few things and then kind of get into CAD here in a little bit. But what is a CUI file? It's a custom user interface. The file determines which ribbons, menus, and toolbars are available to the user. And some responsibilities is responsible for linking the names of the commands you type into, say, the command line, some ribbons, buttons, or selecting a command in the menu bar. All of these are AutoCAD commands to be executed. And there's probably two options that you've probably heard about. And one is when you go into options, it's the main CUI and enterprise CUI. And those are specifically what we're going to be talking about today. Main CUI. The main CUI is also known as the user CUI. Purpose of this is for the user to be able to have some flexibility. So they can modify their own ribbon, they can modify their toolbars, colors, crosshairs, however they see fit. Some people like the command line as yellow, wording black. By all means, go for that. This is going to be full access to the user, meaning it's not going to be read only to them. And an example naming convention, something like atg-user.cuix. Enterprise CUIx, something similar, but this is more of the company, for the company. And this is going to be the company can standardize items such as workspace, your toolbars, your ribbons, and even some custom buttons. Maybe you have list routine or something, or buttons that were customized for your company. I used to work at a company that they had a lot of custom buttons. And so this was definitely in the enterprise CUI part. This is shared globally with the user. So if you have a good local deployment, you can have your settings here for the CUI to be shared out globally. So you don't have to go through and do it for each individual user. And one of the key aspects to this is that this is going to be read only to the users. So they cannot modify the enterprise CUI part. An example of this would be, I put ATG because I like to put the initials of the company and then -INT for enterprise. And then of course, while I'll go on the previous slide, you saw me put ATG-user. So that represent, each individual user. So creating a new CUI file for the user. Let me pull up something else because I see a few chats. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat part. I'll be more than glad to answer it as they come up or at the very end. And of course, you guys can put it in the question and answer part. Creating a new CUIx file for the user is the next part here. So go to the custom user interface. We're just going to briefly go over this and then we'll go back through and kind of work through an example. Go to the custom user interface, select the transfer tab, new customization file, and browse to the folder. So this is kind of like the working steps of it. So I'm going to pause there for now and I'm going to open up our CAD. And I mentioned a little bit earlier about a local deployment. So what we have here for that is it's basically on your C drive. So all of your standards live there and so does your settings, but ATG CAD. And then depending on how many years you have, you might have 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 through here. So I always put the year in Civil, year in Revit, whatever the case may be. So I go in here and here's my structure system on this particular item, but base templates, here's where they live. Basics, that would be like your LIN file. Now this is a very generic local deployment, but if you have any questions about local deployment, feel free to contact us here at ATG and one of us will be more than glad to go over it with you. Interface, profiles, that's got our ARG file in it, and it's also got our customized icon for Civil. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that one. Program open back up. So here we got the program open, and a couple of things I want to show off. First is under options. We are in fact using our ATG profile here that we have set up. And specifically where we're going to be going for a lot of this stuff is here under options, files, and customization files. We have the main and we have the enterprise location. Right now, we got the out of box, we got the default, and we're going to try to make one. So anybody who works with CUIs knows that sometimes this is a hit and miss. Sometimes you have to refresh your memory on the process. So let's give this a good try and see what happens. So I don't necessarily always like to use the same profile that my company works in. Sometimes I might modify it and have a own little working folder one. So I like to maybe add to my list here. And maybe go with a new one, and we'll do test. If you know that you want this, you're going to be using it all the time, go ahead and put it in 01, but I think as a safety net, almost, you should probably put it in a separate one. So let's just go ahead and do that. And sorry about that. I think my office phone is ringing. Okay. So let's go ahead and just copy this out. And we're going to say apply and close. We're going to set this as current. And let's make sure this is exported out to the appropriate place. Let's go to here, civil profiles, and let's just put it right there. And now that we changed that, I'm going to go back out of CAD. And we are going to make a new one of this and just replace that one. So let's just do a copy of this one. Oops. We'll just work with that one. And let's go back into properties here. And right from the bat, we'll just go right here and we'll just switch that to 2. Apply OK, and then we'll just start this one back up using this ARG file. So we'll let CAD pull back up here. And if we remember the steps from a while ago, we're going to create our customized user interface for the user. So again, we're going to go to options. We're going to verify that we are in fact on the O2 profile. And we are. So let's just go ahead to our CUI. So I just like to type it in usually, CUI. And this custom user interface box pops up. Now we just need to work inside here for a few things. So we're going to go over here to our transfer tab. And we're going to select and create a new customization file. It's this button here. And from here, we are going to give it the proper name. So let's go ahead and hit save. Let's browse to where we want to put it. And let's just call this ATG user on this one. So now we got it saved. You can see it's right here. And while we're still in this box, instead of having to close it and come back out, we can go ahead and create the ATG enterprise one as well. So we're going to create another one. And we're going to save this one. And I do usually like to put the user interface one back in like the main directory of where they all go as far as temp file and all in that location. But I'm going to try to keep it all in this area just so we can help follow it a little bit. So hopefully it doesn't mess us up too much. ATG enterprise. And now we have that part started. So if we go back over, let me go ahead and hit OK here. So if we go back to our slideshow here, create a new CUI. So we just did the CUI for the user. We've already created the one for the company, but this is the process. We selected create a new customization file, and we made it one for user and one for our enterprise. So now we're going to apply some company CUI files to our main. So what this looks like is we need to make a CUI so we can modify it. And if we want to be able to modify it, it needs to be in the CUI main. And I'll show you this here in a minute. If it was in the CUI enterprise, we cannot modify that one. So we're going to leave so we need to leave the enterprise one alone at this time, and we'll just keep working. So quick bad wording on my part. So we need to make sure the enterprise one is in the main so we can modify it. The ATG user one, we're not going to even worry about it at the moment. So this is the process of it. So we're going to go to options, and we're going to go to the files tab, and we're going to search our paths. We're going to apply them. And then we are also going to start putting data stuff into it, like workspaces and stuff. So that's the process to the madness. Pull Civil back up. So first thing, right from the get-go, is you see that we are in fact using our ATG O2 profile. So let's go ahead to files, and we are going to go to customize, main, and enterprise. So the main customization file, that, as I said earlier, that's the one that can be modified, right? If it's in the main, you can modify it. If it's in enterprise here, that is going to be read-only. Eventually, our ATG-ENT file is going to be here, and our ATG-user profile is going to be here. But we need to put data into it first. So this is where we are going to start doing that. So we're going to browse to what we need. And from here, we are going to pick the enterprise one. Open. So now we're going to hit apply. And okay, so now this means we can modify this ENT one right now. So Now the next step is to add data. We need to add data by going into the CUI. So let's go to CUI. We got this pulled up for at the moment, and we're going to scroll to the customization in all files part right here. This is kind of tricky sometimes, and you have to make sure you pick on the right one sometimes. I have a habit of picking the wrong one a lot of times. So we're going to have that open. And then the partial customization file down here, we are going to right click and hit load partial customization file. And here you typically would scroll to something like, to something to start off with, like your acad.cuix file that is default location and stuff. So if anybody knows offhand where that is, feel free to chat it. And if not, we'll work to it together because brain freeze and it's not coming up right now. So if you guys already know that, go for it. But I think it is in here. So here's your ACAD CUIx. Hopefully I'm grabbing the right one, but we're going to go ahead and do this one for now. So let's grab it, CUIx. We're going to hit open. And it's saying it's a partial one is ignored, but it's coming up. We got that set. And now we can repeat for all the different parties. So let's say you have Civil 3D and you want to bring in all of its data. You can browse to it. You can go to, some people use LandFX. You can grab that file and you can bring those CUIXs over as well and start building a bigger process for it. So with this open, we're going to add some out of the box workspaces and stuff. So let's just go ahead and click on the transfer tab here. And let's just look at the information for a bit. So we have ATG ENT right here. We have the user up here, and we also have custom. So we're going to put this, and let's just go ahead and hit ATG ENT right here. And on the right, let's go ahead and open the ACAD one again. So we got something like this. And for now, we're just going to select the workspaces we want. So if we were starting off fresh for just CAD, we'll just take drafting and annotation. We can move it over. Basics, modeling, things like that. So there's modeling. Here's annotation. Here's basic. So we got some stuff through here that we're already populating over. Menus and stuff, we can definitely do that. You're going to notice something is blank, but we're going to have this as just a starting point for now. And let's go ahead and apply this and hit OK, just so you can start seeing how some of this stuff looks. So now let's just go ahead and Go here to our workspaces. We're going to hit drafting on annotation. Right now, some things are modifiable and stuff. And notice I can click on the workspaces and switch. And I do not have a read-only pop-up box come up. So that part is saying, hey, these are still writable. We can still modify it. So from here, we are going to go back to our options. And it pops up on another screen. So let's go over here. So now let's just flip these around for a little bit. That way you can see what it means by having a enterprise CUI. So let's go ahead and change this out to be the user. Apparently my third screen is the main monitor here, but we'll work around that. So now let's put the enterprise one here. So it should look something like this, with this one being the user and this one being the enterprise. So let's go ahead and hit apply. Let's hit OK. And let's go ahead and update our ATG file that we are using for our profile. Now that we have these set, probably should have done that while I was in there. But let's go back over here to profiles and let's just hit set current, export that out. And let's overwrite that. Or we can keep building off of and putting 3 and 2, but let's just replace it this time, since we know this is our working profile. And just for fun, we're going to close it out. We're going to come back into it. CAD open back up. Now we can go back in and see all the different items that we might have with the workspaces. So we have all these. Now we can start adding more to it as we need to and modifying those. To switch back and forth between them, say you need to go back and you need to do more work, or you're adding, or you're just trying something out, you're adding to it and you want to modify it, again, you just need to go back into your options and flip these. So how that would look is, this is how you want it when it's all done. But let's say you need to go back in and modify this. You would need to remove this and put enterprise back in for here. And now you can keep adding to it. And once you, cause this is how it is read-only, right? And not for it not to be read-only, and you need to edit it. This part needs to be here. Once you're got everything finalized, you want to put everything back as it was. So you want to put enterprise back here and user back here. So let's go ahead and do that just so you can get used to it, because that's some of the main things about that. But while we're still in here, I want to do a save as and just like modify one real quick. So let's go back, CUI. Here we got which ones it needs to be. Let's just put new workspace, and then let's just put landscape for now. But you can actually add all your workspaces in, and you can modify what toolbars and what menus you want to see. So if you don't want to see all the menus, you can take some out. You can change things around so some options are in and some options are out. So now we're going to come down here. We're going to see we have a workspace for landscape down here. And let's switch that back out now. So we're going to switch this back. Say we've made all of the changes that we've wanted to make. And so let's put this back to how it should be. So this will be our user. And this would be our enterprise. And I do like to make sure I'm current on that when I do make changes. So over here. All right, so we have that, and we can just go back through and modify that. So now if we need to add more data to it, we can, because it's a blank workspace. But this is how you can get around your workspaces. You can create a ARG file. You can also make a main CUI. You can make a enterprise CUI, and you can work through that process and get it to how more standardized for your company. So if a company did want to have certain ribbons that they wanted to show, or certain programs such as InfoWorks being in one workspace and InfoWorks being out of another workspace, you can set up those workspaces for that particular item. So let's go back out here. So we kind of walked through this process already a little bit, but that was how to add the data part. And then we did some stuff with out of the box. By following these tabs, as going through the transfer tab and clicking it, making our ATG file, and making some workspaces that way. And then if we needed to make more workspaces, we could. And don't worry about all the steps here. There is, I did a white paper on this, and it is out there, and I'll be able to share it with people here so that they can see it after the webinar. So we'll get that out to everybody. But and then also the main thing, when you're done working with your enterprise and getting it how you want it to, you have to make sure you switch it back to the enterprise location and put the user one as the main. So the company environment is at this time completed. The workspaces is created for the company, and they are now read only, and the users can create their own workspace if they need to. Say that you kind of don't want them to know all the ins and outs as far as saying that, but maybe they want to change a few things like the color and crosshairs and all that stuff. maybe they'll take that landscape one, they'll save as, put their initials at the end of it, so they know that's for them, and they can customize that. So they still have that little freedom as well as the standards. So we talked about the main and enterprise CUI, what a CUI file is, the workflow, and I got a poll here. So I'm going to go ahead and launch it and activate it. There's like 7 questions, kind of like to see your answers on this. Take the time, I've already got it out, so go ahead and fill that out. Give you a few minutes. First one of the questions is, are you having a good day? Do you use a local deployment? Do you want to learn more about a local deployment? Do you have a company template? Do you want to learn more about ATG starter template? The ATG starter template is just that we have a template that we can sell, and it's got basic, a little bit more than the out-of-box template, so you guys can get started a little bit easier. And then we plan on having more about the CUI processes and stuff later as well, but we do have a white paper on it. And as the questions are coming in, we'll visit the information here later. But upcoming events, we have one on November 2nd, 12 to 1 p.m. Central Time. It's about advanced survey point coding for Civil 3D. Description keys, line work, all the good stuff about ins and outs of survey point coding. And then some of the objectives, of course, is how to develop those standards and how to apply the description keys, and talk a little bit about the CTC tools that can help correct some of the coding part. So it looks like most of the questions are answered. Let's go ahead and end the poll. And got 3/4 of the people saying that they are having a great day, so that's good. I'm glad to hear that. The other person, I hope your day gets better. Local deployment information is about 50-50 on wanting to learn more and that they use it. Pretty much everybody has a company standard or company template of some sort, so that's good to hear. Great job. And about 50-50 about wanting to learn more about the ATG starter template. And glad to hear that you guys do use the Main and Enterprise CUI. So that's pretty awesome. I'm glad to hear that. And about 50-50 on wanting to learn more. So that is awesome. So with these webinars and stuff, we do webinars, we do white papers, we do blogs. And we always get the information out there. So you can come in here and go to any of our social media plans and subscribe. So LinkedIn, we always got content coming out on LinkedIn. And then they're also accessed on YouTube after that. So if you just go to our links, I'll pull them both up here just so you can see what that might look like. Here is our YouTube page. Come up here, subscribed, and you have access to all of our content, webinars that we've done, and also tech talks. And then the link website will get you access to all updated content and all upcoming events as well. So thank you for your time. I'm interested to hear more questions from you guys if you have any, and feel free to email me at jhaney@atgusa.com. And on your survey at the end when you close, please fill out what you guys would like to see from us in upcoming events. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
you.